This is Jason Earls, and we're talking verses that have changed my life. Have you ever got the inside scoop or the real deal that shifted the way that you approach this situation? This is what happened to me with this verse in life. It comes from Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 12. It says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." And here's what we got to know. Yes, indeed, we do wrestle. Wrestle means to struggle. So we do, in fact, struggle with some things on this earth. But what you struggle with is not the bricks and mortars or the physical people, physical flesh and blood, even yourself. That's not ultimately what you struggle with. What you actually struggle with are spiritual things that you cannot see with your own eyes that are consistently coming against you to prevent you from being the person who God is calling you and me to be. It says these four things: against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. Here is the game. All those things that are opposing you, that you're coming up against, even though it's with people, it's actually a spiritual battle. So the big question is this: how can you annihilate the stuff that's coming up against you that you cannot see when it's using people who you can see? Again, how can you annihilate the stuff that's coming against you that you really can't see when in fact it's using people who you can see? How can you nurture and love people while battling their principles? Oh snap! How in the world can you annihilate principles while you're consistently loving and nurturing the people who that's coming from? And that's why you need to pay attention to the rest of this passage and the spiritual armor. Because if you don't have the spiritual armor, you will continue to hurt people as you go about dealing with spiritual principles that are actually attacking you. I remember a crazy movie called Falling, and there was this demon that was attacking Denzel Washington. It came about that the demon had actually possessed the school teacher, and the school teacher shot at Denzel. Denzel, being the officer that he was, shot back at the person who was possessed by the demon and actually shot the person and killed him. And as soon as the person died, the demon left and went to somebody else to attack him. Could it be that oftentimes what you're attacking are people instead of the spiritual wickedness? And when the spiritual wickedness comes through another person, you look back and you harm the person who really wasn't attacking you. In fact, it's spiritual powers, spiritual rulers in darkness of this world who are attacking. But you gotta handle it with unseen things, and that's through the armor of God that you find out in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 13 through verse 19. Oh! And that's one verse that has drastically impacted my thinking and my approach to dealing with people.